The amphitheater of the Galactic Military Academy hummed with anticipation as combat instructor Velthar, a proud Kryn warrior with forearms and scales that shimmered like polished obsidian, surveyed his latest batch of cadets. Representatives from 47 species filled the tiered seats, their varied anatomies a testament to the diversity of the Galactic Coalition. In the back row, almost unnoticed, sat the human. Her name was Sarah Chen, and she was the first of her kind to attend the academy, since Earth had joined the Coalition 3 cycles ago. Most students gave her a wide berth. Everyone had heard the stories about humanity's homeworld, a Class 12 Deathworld where the gravity crushed bones, the predators hunted in packs, and even the weather could kill. The girl herself seemed harmless enough with her small stature and soft features, but the other cadets had learned to be wary. Today, Velthar announced, his voice reverberating through the chamber, "We will demonstrate proper combat technique. I need a volunteer to face Korvax, our champion from last term." Korvax rose from the front row, his Vraxian bulk rippling with muscle. At nearly 3 meters tall and built like a living tank, he had demolished every opponent he'd faced. His species evolved on a heavy gravity world, making them naturally formidable warriors. The other students murmured appreciatively as he descended to the arena floor. "Any challengers?" Velthar asked, fully expecting none. Sarah's hand went up. The amphitheater fell silent. Velthar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Human Chen, perhaps you misunderstand. This is a full contact exercise." "I understand, sir," Sarah replied calmly, already making her way down the steps. Nervous chittering erupted from the insectoid Chitik delegation. A floating Xelon broadcast concern through its telepathic field. Even Korvax looked uncertain as the small human approached, barely reaching his chest. "I will not harm you significantly," Korvax rumbled, his translator rendering his words with what might have been sympathy. Sarah simply nodded and took her position on the mat. She didn't adopt any combat stance. She merely stood there, feet shoulder-width apart, arms relaxed at her sides. Her breathing was steady, her expression neutral. Velthar's mandibles clicked with concern. "Human Chen, you must defend yourself." "I am." "Sir." The instructor hesitated, then signaled the start of the match. Korvax moved with surprising speed for his size. A straight punch aimed at Sarah's midsection. Pulled. Of course, but still enough to wind a smaller species. Sarah didn't dodge. She didn't block. She simply shifted her weight ever so slightly, rotating her hips perhaps 5 centimeters to the left. Korvax's fist passed harmlessly by. The Vraxian frowned and tried again, this time a sweeping strike toward her head. Sarah's head tilted backward an inch. The strike whooshed past, missing by a hair's breadth. Now Korvax was frustrated. He unleashed a combination. Jab, cross, uppercut, each punch powerful enough to dent steel. Sarah moved minimally, economically. A quarter step back. A slight lean. A subtle turn of the shoulders. Each massive strike found only air, sometimes missing by millimeters. The audience watched in stunned silence. Korvax began to breathe heavily. His punches came faster, sloppier. Sarah remained calm, her movements so small they were almost imperceptible yet perfectly timed. She was reading his attacks before he completed them, seeing the micro-movements in his shoulders, the weight shifts in his stance, the telegraphs in his eyes. On Earth, Sarah had grown up in a world where everything was trying to kill you. She'd learned to spot danger in the twitch of a snake, the rustle of leaves before a predator struck. Her ancestors had survived because they could read intent, anticipate violence, and react with precision born of necessity. 10 minutes passed. Korvax was now gasping, his punches wild and desperate. He'd thrown perhaps 200 strikes. Not one had landed. Sarah hadn't moved more than half a meter in total distance. She hadn't counterattacked once. Finally, Korvax stumbled, exhausted, and dropped to one knee. "I yield," he panted. The amphitheater erupted in chaos. Students from dozens of species shouted questions, accusations of trickery, demands for explanation. Velthar raised his primary arms for silence. "Explain yourself, Human Chen," he commanded, though his tone held more curiosity than accusation. Sarah helped Korvax to his feet before responding. "On Earth we have a saying, the best fighter is not the one who throws the most punches, but the one who doesn't get hit. My species didn't become the apex predator of our world through strength or speed. We did it through pattern recognition, anticipation, and endurance. I simply let him defeat himself." Velthar studied her for a long moment. You predicted every attack. After the third punch, yes, sir. Combat follows patterns. Biology creates habits. Once you understand how a species moves, how their skeletal structure allows them to strike, how their musculature telegraphs their intentions, fighting becomes less about reaction and more about prediction. A Xelon student's thought voice echoed through the chamber. The Deathworlder weaponized patience itself. Korvax, recovered enough to stand, placed a massive hand on Sarah's shoulder. I have trained for 12 cycles. I have never been defeated without being struck even once. Your world must be truly terrible to forge such warriors. Sarah's expression softened. My world taught me that survival isn't about being the strongest. It's about being the most adaptable. Sometimes the greatest victory is simply not losing. Velthar clicked his mandibles in what passed for a smile among his species. Class dismissed. Except you, human Chen. We need to discuss your future as a combat instructor. As the students filed out, many cast new glances at the human in their midst. She wasn't the biggest, the fastest, or the strongest, but she was something perhaps more dangerous, patient, perceptive, and forged in the crucible of a world that showed no mercy to the weak. Sarah remained standing on the mat, still barely having moved, and waited quietly for whatever came next, just as she always had, just as all humans did. And the galaxy was beginning to understand why Deathworlders were not to be underestimated.